Tested.
Hi, I'm Will Smith from Tested.com. I'm here today to take apart the Nintendo DSi XL. Let's get started. Battery door is here. You can see there's 4 rubber feet on the bottom of the DS. My bet is that there's screws underneath there. I'm gonna go ahead and unscrew the 3 that I can see, and then if they don't kind of obviously release the bottom, I'm gonna start prying feet off with a spudger. Yeah, that's not the only thing holding it, so let's start popping off feet. And sure enough, there's a screw underneath. 4 feet removed, 4 screws that are newly exposed. Let's take those off. Okay, so we're 3 different kinds of screws, and I've got 1 more screw to do. It looks like inside the battery compartment is a little patch that tells you when it's gotten wet. I'm gonna take out the stylus, don't need that. Okay, so I'm gonna use a spudger here. Open, and there we go, pop, pop, pop. And we're good. Before we do anything, I'm gonna actually pop this little connector off so then I can disconnect the bottom of the, see this is the bottom of the DSi case. From the top, wow, there's a WS written inside there. That's really weird. They knew it was mine. By opening this, you're already dead. Okay, so here's how it aligned. This one is going to the volume control knob. So this ribbon cable connects right here. So they have 2 little pop-on places. This Samsung is probably a flash memory or possibly a memory controller. This one is the ARM-based CPU, the CPU TWL. Oh, it just pops off. So one of the things that's interesting is there's a daughter board here that's shielded on the other side. So that's almost certainly got to be some sort of Wi-Fi, wireless antenna, something like that. This is probably the controller for the touchscreen. This is, you can see this is where the battery connects. So it comes in here, power's gonna go across these little red and black wires right here, and that'll power the entire thing. Okay, so we've taken the bottom off, we've seen the motherboard. Let's see if we can pop the motherboard out without destroying too much. Definitely something binding. Oh wow, this is a tiny, tiny little ribbon cable. I'm gonna take off this little piece of tape so it just flips up and then pulls out. That's crazy. So undo some power over here. There we go, lifts out. This guy, these ribbon cables are really, really delicate when you're taking them apart. Oh, there we go. Oh, so that was a flip up and pop out. Or possibly I just destroyed it, one or the other. Okay, so for these guys, there's a little flange, but it seems like it pops up and then the cable just slides in. And I bet that this guy right here is gonna be the same kind of thing. Flips up just like that and you can pop the cable out. To get the Wi-Fi connectors, which is what these little guys are off, you just kind of pop them and they lift right off. And voila. This is gonna be the monitor controller cable for the top display. Probably this one over here is the one for the bottom display, if I had to guess. And then this guy is gonna drive the backlight, and I would guess that this one right here controls the touchscreen, which is on the bottom of the DSi. So one of the reasons you might wanna open up a DS is to remove dust in the screen. But in practice, your house is going to be much dustier than the inside of the DSi. So if you start trying to take it apart and remove the dust from inside the device, it's just going to add more dust to the screen. Because if nothing else, fingerprints and all that kind of stuff makes an awful, awful mess on the insides of these devices. So the touchscreen is actually over here in the chassis. This is going to be the LCD and the backlight controller, this whole thing right here. The LCD is going to be right in the front, actually. And you can see there's a gasket that goes around the edge and holds it right up. It's not even screwed into place. It just is held there by the force of the motherboard and all the other stuff pushing up into it. These are actually little micro kind of attached switches to the board. And there's 4 of them here and another 2 down here for the start and select buttons. I have taken out 7 and I have 1 more to go. Okay, so this is the little daughter board that actually controls the D-pad. And you can see it even says, software up, software down, software left, software right. This board plugs in, it looks, I think it's this one right here, this guy right here on the motherboard. What I'm gonna do now is actually tape the display controller in place, just so I can flip it over and work on the other side. I'm gonna go ahead and screw this little daughter board back in. I wonder if there's a magnet underneath this. Oh, the speaker's right there, so that's what's happening. But if I do it right now, you will see no such magnetism. On the top, these 4 guys right here, I would be willing to bet are hiding screws. And voila, Phillips head screws. Okay, so let's unscrew these 4 screws. See what's underneath here. The tape didn't hold, but it's okay. Oh, it's a slide and lock. There we go. Wait. There we go. This guy goes through under here into the bottom and connects over here. So this one's just held in with friction. There's a couple little holes through it and it locks down. Oh, this is a Wi-Fi antenna. Here are the two speakers. For the camera, you can see the pinholes up here. This is the higher resolution camera on the DSi, and this is the light sensor. It looks like this cable also does split off and manages the other camera as well, the one that's built into the hinge. It's like a video conferencing camera or something like that. Okay. Straight through, no glass in front of this, which is kind of interesting. Not many people do that. Okay, so to put everything back together, it looks like I'm going to slide the top back on first. And as you can see, there's locks here, so it's a kind of tongue and groove thing where you line it up right and then it'll just snap into place. And I'm just going to give it a little gentle push. There we go on one side. I think that's probably good. Okay, so now taking my screws back, let me go ahead and put them back in, assuming everything lines up right. So I'm putting the feet back on the screw covers here. Okay, so now it's back to motherboard reassembly. If you wanted to really mess with somebody, you could take their DS all the way apart, change the layout of the buttons, and probably they'd stop being your friend after you did that. Next thing to do is to put the LCD back in. So if you look, here's the cable that controls the display, and it goes on the same side as the D-pad. So it only slides in, it just is gonna drop right into place. There are two little wire holders here that actually hold the Wi-Fi cables in place. So before we screw the motherboard back in, it's probably a good idea to connect as many of these little tiny ribbon cables as we can. First thing to do is to do this bottom one, which is only accessible when the board is out. And it's locked into place. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the Wi-Fi board back on because that's probably the easiest thing to do here. And pop the second antenna back in here. So it looks like my board's in more or less the right spot. I'm gonna go ahead and screw some of these guys back down just so that it holds in place and I don't have to deal with wiggling. How the hell am I gonna get that one out either? Let's just give it a little tug. What do you think the odds of this continuing to work are?
I'm completely expecting it to work.
Wow. So what I'm doing is sliding this little tiny ribbon cable into this connector because it's at a little tiny bit of an off angle. Oh, that did. Okay, so now, and voila. And it goes in underneath these pins, it looks like. Oh, there we go. And then locks down into place. This one had a piece of tape over it to prevent it from wiggling. And this is the board that connects to the D-pad. Oh, pops right in, locks into place. Oh, that one's in. Is it all the way in? Yep. Okay, there we go. Power's connected back. Then the last thing is this last, it's another monitor power driver, I would guess. I'm gonna run this guy in. It's basically, it goes underneath the pins. This is a really weird type of connector. You don't see these very often. Motherboard is back in the DSi XL. All that remains is to connect two little connectors. These are the guys that, this one it looks like manages the data connection between the SD card slot, and it also does the right bumper. And this one is for the volume buttons and the left bumper. You just have to get it lined up for this kind of connector, just like that. Okay, so then the other side is a little bit shorter cable, so it's a little bit trickier. Okay, so they're both clicked into place. They just kind of lock down. I'm gonna lower the case over the edges. I wanna make sure that my headphone jack lines up on the front. That looks pretty good. Make sure that all the seams around the edges are good. So it's time to put the last 7 screws back into the DSi XL and let's see if this thing's gonna work. I don't feel good about this one at all. I feel like today may have been a day that we destroyed something beautiful. We're gonna all be surprised here at the same time. I'm not even gonna look, just I'm waiting for the groaning. We have light, we have screen. Holy crap, I actually did it. I'm really impressed with myself. Did the buttons work? Buttons seem to work. Up, down, start works. Haven't tested select or any of these guys. Let's see if the camera works. Oh, there's Anna on the camera. Hello. Does the other camera work? That's perfect. There's a dog walking by. We couldn't have planned that better. So that is how to take apart your Nintendo DSi XL and, shockingly, put it back together successfully. The Magna Grip, a little bit uncomfortable. Did a pretty good job of holding the screws. I don't think I lost any, although I might have. So that pretty much sums it up. I'm gonna put the feet back on and go get back to work. So for Tested, I'm Will Smith. Thanks for watching.